welcome back to our YouTube channel. We are the ZKs. Today is quite freezing, so yeah.
Winter is here.
We are continuing with our gardening series on how to start your small space garden, and today we are going to be talking about composting. So one of the things that we do is we separate our, we don't want to call it trash because it's treasure, and go to us. So all the organic stuff, all the biodegradable stuff in our kitchen and household goes in a different trash bag, and then we have all the plastics and other things like maybe bottles and stuff that we can't really use to on the other side. So we have even gone to a point of involving our extended family in it, so they know that once their treasure or our treasure bin is full, they bring it over and that goes into our compost. So this guy here will take you through composting.
Yeah, baby. So today we are starting our journey on composting, and then this is a natural process for plants and animals, and nature is our best teacher. So what we see nature do, we also try to mimic or try to replicate the same thing. So when you are composting, basically here, you will realize that some, like this leaf, has fallen green from the tree, and then some of the leaves have fallen when they are brown. So the basic science that you are going to embrace when you are coming into composting is that for greens, they give us a lot of nitrogen, and then for the brown things, they give us carbon. And then look at how rich the soil is under trees. And then if you are looking at how the leaves from the tree fall, they don't fall from very far away from the tree, because they fall just within the space where there are also the roots of the tree. So this is also to say, when they fall down and then they decompose, and then over time the roots will be able to absorb what has fallen off from the tree. So, and then that is the reason why now you find very rich soils under trees. So then all we will be talking about as we will be going to the different methods that I will be taking us through for composting, just bear it in mind that what we are trying to do is what nature does. That is the same thing that trees and other plants, they do. They shed off their leaves. Some fall brown, some fall when they are still green. They fall on the ground, they rot, they decompose, and then they fix nitrogen in the soil and also carbon. But also the same thing happens in the with animals. As they eat the grass and they process it overnight, the process of composting, it takes us a long time, about 6 weeks, and then for animals it takes only 24 hours. What they have eaten, they have processed, then in the morning it's manure for us. So we'll be going in the different places and learning how to compost. Okay, this is more of what we call a heap compost. So basically you are piling all these plants together here in a form of a heap. So that is where the name comes from, like heap composting. So I have been cutting grass from around here, and also some trees, some branches, some leaves, all of them I'm putting them in this spot together. So waiting for them to rot and decompose. So what I'm also trying to explore at the same time here, this is more of a long-term project, because you can see I'm even using a little bit like big branches of trees, and then there's the grass here. Is that it will be here for some time. I'll leave it here for a long time. Probably I'll maybe consider start using it around December from now. So I keep adding all these layers, keep adding all these things, and then letting it naturally rot. I won't be doing much of the turning of the compost in this place. All I'll be doing is that after a few days or a few weeks, I come collect all the leaves and other things that I can get from here and keep piling them up here. So this is called our heap compost. So now this is what we call a compost bin. So it's full of grass. I've been going up the mountain to get grass because it's winter now. They might start burning the grass, and this is a very good kind of grass because it doesn't have much seeds. It is also very important to be careful as you are doing your composting because this place is very rich. Don't put things that have a lot of seeds because that can be very bad. They can start germinating and growing, and then you will experience a lot of weeds. But what we are doing here, we did not compost like at once and do the layering. What we are doing, we keep on throwing many different things from like here you will see a lot of our kitchen scraps, things from our kitchen, and then like some of the waste from our kitchen. But what we do every time I have added them, I take a layer of grass and then I cover on top. And then we also put animal manure and many different things. We just keep adding. That's the simple way of doing it. And then in terms of what you need to think about is, as we are having the grass here, it's making a very thick layer and then it will be rotting and degrading. Then from time to time you can also water just to keep it moist. This is more of what we call aerobic composting, whereby it needs air for the things to decompose, and then there are lots of microorganisms that are involved in the process. And then once in 2 weeks you can come and turn it. This takes about 6 weeks for it to get ready, but now it's different because it's winter and then it's not as warm, so the cold affects the time that it takes for it to get ready or decompose. So I'm not sure anymore. I'm thinking it would take more than 10 weeks for it to be ready, but this is basically where we do our bin compost. The next one that we are coming to here is our pit compost, and this was our first compost that we did before we even had our fence or before we even grew anything, because it is very important. It is more like you are thinking about your plants way ahead. How are you going to feed your plants? But also, you know what is very important in gardening? To be sure about your harvest, you just need to be sure about how good your soil is. And one of the ways of improving your soil, it is keeping on adding organic matter to your soil, and then it will improve, and then you are sure about the growth of your plants, and this is good. So this is covered because now it's winter and it's a bit cold, so it's also part of what we call aerobic. I'm going to open because this one is almost there. You can see a lot of things. This is the blanket is just for keeping it warm, a bit warm. So it's rotting very well. I was turning it the other day, but I'm just going to pull it back a bit so you will see. This is smelling so nice. If a compost is coming up well, like here, it's very warm in here, as much as it is cold, but in here it's very warm because this thing is decomposing. It's very warm. And then also, if it's coming up okay, it should not smell and be slimy. It should smell like soil. So, and then that is exactly what I am experiencing as I'm opening here. This is very nice. This is very good. There's a lot of grass, and then I added some animal manure and a lot more other things, like these are leaves. So they are also very good for our compost to come up so well. So over time, once in a while, like once a week, I can come and water, but just to keep it moist, and then I cover it this time around because of the cold. I make sure that it's always covered so that it's not too cold and it can be able to decompose fast. So this is what we call a peat compost. A peat compost. So how you do it also, basically you get your greens and your browns for carbon, and then your greens for nitrogen. So when you are doing your layers, you put a layer, and then you put a small layer of soil to divide them. And then the ratio, what I believe is good, is 50-50, making sure like there are 50% greens and also there are 50% browns, which are carbon. So getting brown leaves, getting this thing, cardboards, newspapers. Don't put magazines because their paper is gloss, and that is not good for your compost. And then put a lot of green leaves. I use a lot of buckwheat leaves, but chop them first before you put them in here. Make sure there are no seeds. So that is how you do your peat compost, and then mix it over time. It is not advisable to use fresh cut sawdust like wood chips, this. So that is why I am having our fresh cut sawdust making our walkways. Why? So that over time, as it decomposes and rots, we will be able to add it to our compost. But right now what it does, it drains nitrogen from the compost instead of adding it. So it is not good to be added, and it's a bit acidic. So it's not good to come as fresh into the compost. But for cover, it's okay. So that is what I can say concerning our peat compost. A lot of our friends, when they come here, we tell them how to compost. They are always like, wow, it's so easy. We never thought it can be this easy. I'm telling you, it has improved our garden. It has also improved our soils, because we harvested our first batch of that, the one we started in January. After 6 weeks, we were able to start using it in our garden and also in our balcony. So the last one I am going to talk about, it is composting in a bucket. There are a lot more other ways of composting, like vermicomposting using worms. We have not tried those yet, but the ones that I'm taking you around and showing you are the ones that we have tried and we have seen them work for our space. So yeah, that is basically what I can share when it comes to our peat composting. So I showed you a heap, then I showed you a bin, and then now I am showing you a peat compost. So what I like about this place, it helps us to be organized with our space. It doesn't have to be flying all over and everywhere. Everything is just contained within the pit, and it's easy to work. The dimensions, I will not talk about the dimensions when you dig here. Basically do something that will allow you to work inside it. Like here, I'm able to turn the compost just within the pit. I don't need to go anywhere out and do a lot of things. Yeah, so this is how you do composting. It is easy, and yeah, it will also improve your soils. Okay, so these are also our composting machines. So I talked about this, that animals do the process of composting in a space of like 24 hours. So I'm not going to talk about the chickens, what they do, but this is gold. This is gold. And then chicken poop is not good to use it directly in the garden. It is very high in nitrogen and it can burn your plants. So what we do, we usually take it from here to our compost bin first to decompose with the rest of the compost. So this is also part of our composting ways in our space. So this is also part of our gold. You can see it from here. So yeah, that is good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you so much, cute chickens. Oh, we also get eggs from them, so they are very good friends of ours. So welcome to our balcony. So this is now our last kind of composting. Let me come, you see it here. So we have used most of it, it's almost finished. But now this is just a bucket. We drilled holes on it all over around, and then we have a lid on top, and then we did our layering here. So this is small and good enough just to take care of the needs of our balcony garden. So this is where my wife does all the gardening, and that's our part of the compost inside here. It's very good, and what we observed here, it composts even faster than doing it in the pit and other places. So, and then this is very rich and very good. You can see it. So we did the layering in our balcony, put our kitchen scraps, our buckwheat leaves, green leaves, and all other things in it. And then we let it stay there. And then over time, we were turning it almost after 2 weeks. And it composted so well, and we have been adding it on our planters in the balcony, and our plants enjoy it. And we also use it for, like here, this is my wife's garlic, is growing and coming up so well. It is growing from the compost that we did. This is our other plants here. So some herbs, they are also growing from this very same compost. So composting will change your space, and if you are going to garden, it's a must. It's one of the things that you have to do. It's not like you need to choose to do it. You have to do it. It's very important. It will improve your garden, and you can't expect to keep on getting from the soil without investing anything into the soil. So as you invest into the soil, you are in a better position to harvest even better from the soil. And what you add to the soil matters. If you add chemicals, you will reap chemicals, but if you add organic things, you will eat organic harvest, and it will also improve your health. So composting is important. Thank you.
All right, so I hope you have enjoyed all the lessons and the tips that we shared today, and that you are ready and set to start your own compost pile, compost bin, compost pit, whatever works best for you. So we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. We love you. Bye-bye.